Hi, everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer. I am so delighted you're here because I realized after last week's call that I had a period during this whole moving situation when I was feeling pretty uncertain. So I wanted to share with you what the divine shared with me and what I learned through that period of uncertainty so that we will all move forward in our relationship with Source, with the divine, and with prayer, which is our way, one of the ways that we can communicate with the energetic realm. So let's take a look at what our guides have to share with us, our helpers. And then I have two great stories to share with you. One in which I get to play God because my cat, without realizing it, let me see my behavior. And it was quite revealing. I looked at her and I was like, wow, now I get to see what I must look like to God when I am doing all of these silly things. But let's take a look at how they tell us to handle it when it feels like there's no answer or just nothing is coming back. And generally we tend to feel that way when we're the most desperate or the most needing an answer. So right there, you notice I said not when God is wanting to answer or needing you to hear. It's when we are most anxious for an answer. We must remember whenever it has something to do with us not getting a clear answer, it is on our end. It is always operator error. Okay, but let's find out how to fix it. So, they begin, dearest hearts, when any of you set about putting in a request to the universe, the first thing you want is confirmation. You immediately want to know when you'll get an answer. And if one is not forthcoming immediately, then your concern is, have I been heard? Will I be answered? Did I ask correctly? And have I been good enough to receive an answer? Because some of us were taught as children, God doesn't want to answer you, doesn't have to, and won't unless you jump through these hoops, and all of them most likely were obeying your parent kind of hoops, or your elders, or whomever they decided needed to be respected. None of these questions are helpful. None of them build your faith, belief, and trust that an answer will be forthcoming, and none of them deepen your relationship with the divine. Instead of asking, when will God answer, or will God answer, which smacks of desperation and unworthiness, learn to reassure yourself and state matter-of-factly, I am certain the answer will be here in divine timing, and that the answer will be for my highest good. Let's take a look at that. When we get ourselves all excited, desperate, panicked for an answer, we don't necessarily say, oh, whenever it gets here, that will be fantastic. We're usually saying things to ourselves like, I want the answer now. I have to know now. I've got to know it right now. What's going on? I've got to know. And we completely let go of the fact that the divine only provides our highest good. They don't play games. They don't judge. They don't send punishment. It's always our highest good. So when we get ourselves in this anxious state, we are completely forgetting everything that we've learned about the divine, the universe, the way things operate when we are in harmony, and the way we screw them up when we are trying to be in charge. Let's compare the two statements energetically. When and if will contain panic, worry, and anxiety. They are made up of the lowest energetic signature. Certainty, in the perfect time, and for your highest good, occupy the highest energetic signature of love, joy, and peace. The latter allows you to stay in a peaceful place because you know you're loved, and that certainty fills you with joy. We ask that you ask deliberately for what you want. Take time to craft your ideal vision. Work with your request until it feels good to you. Allow it to match your ideal scenario. Be specific in naming all of the characteristics that you believe are necessary for you to receive maximum benefit. And when you craft your request, don't ask for the smallest amount. Ask for the amount you desire that will bring you joy. There is so much here. I want to just take a moment and look at what they've given us. We must begin to plan. Instead of just allowing random events to happen to us and we have no goals or no plans or no direction that we want to go, and then we can get into these panicked and worried states, do a little planning. Think about what you would like your life to look like. What would feel good to you? Don't be a casual observer. Be a crafter. Get in there and say, this would really feel good. This would make me have purpose, or allow me to feel as though I am being purposeful. This feels good to my heart. This is something I've always wanted to do. Get used to becoming the crafter of your life instead of just along for the ride. Along for the ride, you're going to wake up at some point and get really disappointed or really anxious because when you create, and you are always the creator with no specific intent, you open yourself up to all of the whims of all of the people around you, all of the energy that may be swirling around, and you will create a great deal of confusion. And then you will be unhappy that your life is confusing, and you will try any number of ineffective ways to address that. The best thing is to sit down and take some time. What do I like? What would I enjoy in my life? Where am I going? And then put that into a written statement to God. When you write it down, it forces you to look at it and to be more committed. Also, when we write, handwriting, not typewritten, not computer, when we handwrite something, the movement of the hand forming the letters actually creates new neural pathways. You must handwrite it if you're serious. You can't just speak it out or type it out. So they're asking for active participation. It doesn't mean you want to be the final authority on your life, and I'll share a story with you about why you don't later on. But have an outline, a blueprint, some direction that you're going so that you are not blown around by the winds of chance. Now, they also tell you, ask for enough. Now, certainly, in my growing up, I was told You only ask for enough. You don't ask for too much because that would be greedy and God doesn't like that. Well, this is exactly the opposite. They are saying, ask for enough so you can delightfully anticipate its arrival. When you're delighted that something's on its way to you, you automatically assign wonderful energy to it, and it's easy to maintain your enthusiasm. If you've asked for just enough, which would be survival level, it will be easy for you to get distracted by doubt and fear. Once you've left your high place of love, joy, and peace, you'll have slowed down the manifestation of any gift you desire. It's just that simple. Expect more, not less. Stay in your high place and be delighted. Now you've created an open doorway through which manifestation can flow. So they're telling us exactly the opposite of what I have always been told. Now, 20, 30 years ago now, I started doing my own research and have uncovered a lot of things that were not always true. But one thing I want you to really take away from this is that they are saying there's no limit to what God can deliver. So let's get over that already. There's not, if you need $1 and you ask for a penny so that you don't look greedy, but you know that that penny will only keep you in survival, where the dollar would actually allow you to make a difference in your life, you're not going to be real excited about receiving the penny. You'll be grateful to some degree. It's better than nothing. But manifestation requires you to stay in your high place. The low place, the just enough place, the survival place, the begging place, that's the lowest energy possible. That is not where you're going to be able to manifest anything but more desperation, because that energy is so heavy. Climb up into the place of abundance where God resides and ask from there. That is asking with knowing that God is capable. The other way is asking but not really being sure that God can do anything. And that sure doesn't help you stay focused or believing that you are going to receive this. So what do you do if there's no answering confirmation? If you're receiving radio silence from the divine and your faith is starting to erode, should you ask again? Ask for less? Or just assume you're not worthy of receiving? That was certainly what I used to do. I would give up. Oh, I'm just not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not someone that God thinks is special enough to bless. First, you must understand the difference between your way of being and the divine's omniscience. You're restricted to time and place. Things happen for you in a basic sequence, and A generally follows B. But the divine is not limited nor confined in any way. They need nothing to make something happen for you except your permission. Whoa, did you get that? The only one holding out on you is you. If you won't give permission for something wonderful to enter your life, it cannot. You must agree to the experience and remove all blocks that would prevent manifestation. In other words, there must be a clear free space for the energy to flow instead of a series of locked doors or detours. You have free will and you can choose to block your abundance. However, you can choose to accept it whenever and however it arrives. Now, for just a moment, I'm going to go off this topic because this is just too important. You are also saying yes to those bad things that you would rather not experience. Please understand how powerful you are. You have either agreed to it before you came into this life, that these experiences would be part of your life journey so that you could understand whatever it was to its fullest, or once you got here, you started saying yes to things that didn't serve you because you were being taught foolish things such as, God doesn't like you. Let's not immediately turn and get angry at those people who taught us that. If that's all they knew, they were passing on what they believed was really good information to keep you safe. So we must consider the source. We must always go within. Does this feel truthful to me? I am certain the person that's sharing the information believes it to be true, but it doesn't feel right to me. Then do your own investigation. No one is preventing you from doing your own homework. So, number one, nothing can come to you unless you say yes, and that means abundance, and it also means unwanted. So you have either said yes to the unwanted before you got here, or you're continuously saying yes because you are believing a lie that you're not worthy or that God won't bless you or something else. But God is never punishing you. You are allowing this to happen, and you have the power to prevent it just by getting into the heart and doing the clearing necessary there. Now, some things we don't want to skip because they are too valuable. Just to be on the safe side, we always ask for our highest good so that if there is something that we need to experience in order to grow, we will still be saying yes to it through our highest good. That way you are completely covered. So, now, back to what our God answering. Therefore, do not ask again. Plead for an answer, demand, get angry, or just give up. When you don't appear to get an answer, you must go deeper. Go within and search your inner self-talk. How are you talking to yourself? Ask yourself, am I preventing my good from reaching me? Are you the one that is telling yourself stupid lies that act as a barrier between you and manifestation? Then check your thinking and belief systems. Am I holding on to negative thinking or limiting beliefs that are preventing me from moving forward? Could be. Check it out. Don't assume that it is the divine not responding. Always assume it is you not hearing. Remember, if you believe that something is true, it will remain true for you even if there is no supporting evidence. Once we decide something is true, generally, before we decide, we've seen something that convinces us. But once we've locked on to something as being true, we don't constantly ask for it to prove itself. And we can hold on to some pretty silly stuff because we haven't checked in with our truth meter and decided, this thinking seems a little off. I need to... No, we just keep moving forward with the same mindset. Check what's going on. Reevaluate your belief system. Don't just let it be. Go deep and do the heart work necessary to uncover, clear, heal, and replace your false belief system with one that honors yourself and your relationship with the divine. This is a two-way street. Honor yourself. Honor the divine. You will always be answered and supported. But you can prevent the answer from coming, and you can prevent yourself from receiving the support. Next, recognize that you cannot know what's best from your limited perspective. So instead of fearful questions, and we've all been guilty of those, relax into peaceful certainty. If there appears to be no answer or there is no confirmation to help you stand strong, you must choose to trust instead of fear. You must stand firm in the understanding that the divine, when allowed to direct your life, bring forth your highest good. When you ask for something, you must learn to let it go and stop trying to micromanage the answer. Remember, that's us holding the string of our balloon when we need that balloon to fly away in order to receive the answer. Stop trying to micromanage the answer or the time necessary for manifestation. God is not an alarm clock that you can set to a specific time and have something appear when you want it. Spend your time instead being joyfully delighted and building your trust muscle. If there appears to be no answer or nothing, you could be out ahead of the sequence of events. Learn to be patient. You could have turned a blind eye to all of the confirmation and synchronicities that were occurring. You could also be asked to adopt a more mature spiritual mindset and trust that everything was working to your benefit instead of fearing that Source had abandoned you. The spiritually mature being has no need to fear, for they recognize they are loved, and they trust that that love is sufficient to bring them their heart's desire. They've done the work to clear their hearts of limiting beliefs and negative thinking, and they put all of their energy to staying in the highest energetic plane of love, joy, and peace, where all manifestation is possible. Stop running after reasons why something can't or won't happen, and begin living in the place of course it can. And if it's for my highest good, it will. Think about how much energy we devote to why something can't or won't work. You may not think you devote any energy to that. Listen to yourself, your self-talk, the conversations you may be having with friends. And you will catch yourself. Once you catch yourself, you'll never want to do it again. But you will be amazed at the amount of times, I was amazed at the amount of times that I was chopping myself off at the knees with the silly conversations that I was having with others and the very deadly conversations I was having with myself. If the answer appears to be nothing or silence, answer with your own silence, the silence of awareness, where instead of going out to find the answer, you go within to find the truth that you're divinely loved and supported, and everything happens in its time when you allow it to do so. Build your faith muscle. Learn to be spiritually mature and do the work to clear your heart space so manifestation is possible. Ask with certainty. And if you need reassurance, ask for it from a place of certainty. Remember, we talked about this last time. Get rid of desperation. Ask from a place of certainty, not desperation. And you may only ask once without acknowledging that you were the problem. So if you need to ask again, you can say, I know you've sent confirmation, but I didn't receive or understand the sign. Please send me another indicator. I am grateful for your love and assistance. You've got to admit, hey, I'm the one asleep on the job. I know you've sent unending signs. Please send me another. I'll pay more attention. Let's say you don't. All right, I screwed up again. Please send me another sign. I know you're sending them. There are days when I have had to say, if you need to hit me over the head, God, it's okay. I am completely blind, deaf, and dumb over here. I'm not seeing anything, and I know you're sending it. But I've allowed myself to get kind of in a dither or stressed or desperate. And I need your help to move my vibration back up to the highest place. And confirmation would really help me. Always there's a sign. Always. There's always an answer. But it may not be within your desired time frame or appear to be what you were asking for. Trust in divine timing and your highest good, and be grateful for the infinite wisdom of the divine. Trusting Source equals a life of blissful peace. Learn to look for and appreciate all of the divine intervention and guidance you're receiving. You will never doubt again. So, that's a pretty bold statement. You will never doubt again. How in the world can they say something like that to us? The only way they can is because it is true. God will never abandon you. There will never be a time when you are not receiving an answer. If there is a problem, it is on your end. You must never doubt that your prayer will be answered, but you must get into the receiving space if you are going to be able to hear and take appropriate action. And it doesn't matter how many times you screw up, as long as you don't start blaming God. The minute you blame God, you put yourself... Now, let me go back for a second. God doesn't care if you blame them. They are not ego-bound energies. But you put yourself down in the hole of low vibration. In order to manifest and receive, you must be in the high vibration. So, when you start the blame and shame game, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You can blame all you want. Things are never going to get better for you. Stand up. Take an inventory. What am I doing that's causing this problem? How can I fix it? I'm that powerful. I can cause a problem and I can find a solution. And when I choose to move myself into the high place of love, joy, and peace, I am now working in harmony with God, and everything becomes so easy. Please learn to work in harmony. And I have a wonderful story coming up in just a moment about my cat. And you will recognize yourself, every single one of you will recognize yourselves in my cat. I was out walking the dog when I realized, what in the heck? I just got the clearest picture of myself and through God's eyes. And it's quite hilarious and not real flattering. So I don't mean to insult you, but you guys have to understand how silly we are being sometimes. Okay, so let's take a look at everything that they shared with us, because this was a lot of information. And if you are of the old school of thinking, which very few of us escaped that, we are always taught God doesn't want to answer you unless you jump through hoop A, B, and C, and you've got to earn it, and there are all these conditions. So learn to not buy into that. You may need to go back and listen to this again or reread the blog post. This is really, we're into serious stuff now. This is really important that you wrap your head around this. So, first thing to remember, on the divine's end, you are always heard, always answered, always loved. There will never be a time when you are cut off because God got angry with you. You can cut yourself off with doubt, fear, negativity, and limiting belief. But the divine will never abandon you. You cannot do anything so awful that you will be abandoned. It's impossible. We are here to explore and to learn, and part of that learning means we screw up. That's okay. Doesn't separate you unless you choose it. So when you think you're not getting an answer, first thing you got to understand is the error is on your part. It's your behavior or thinking that's preventing you from achieving the answer. If you ask and ask and ask, and you never enter that state of grateful receivership, you will never get the answer. You cannot get it. Please, 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 please. Take a breath. A deep breath. Be quiet. Look around you for the answer. Look within you for the answer. Just take a rest. You are being answered. If we continue to ask, we cannot help but become desperate and panicked. And that is not the place from which we can receive. We must release the negativity, enter a place of peaceful calm. How do you do that? If you can't get to your center because you've worked yourself into a panic, breathe. We did a whole thing on breathing. How to handle stressful situations. If you need to go back and listen to that, do. Breathe, walk, do some sort of exercise. When you're ready, get quiet in a meditative state. Do your work. Do your part. Recognize you have a responsibility, and your free will is what's determining if you can receive the answer. Please understand how large a role you have in your success. It's not luck or chance. And remember, we want to ask for more than enough. You're asking unlimited source. So what they are saying is go big enough to be delighted. Not teeny tiny so that it kind of feels like nothing. Go giant. You can help others out of your overflow. But if you only ask for enough, you don't really get excited. You don't get into the whole energy of manifestation, and you certainly don't have anything left over to share with anyone else. Also, the wonderful thing about going big is that it helps you recognize you could never achieve this on your own, and it deepens your faith walk. Because gratitude keeps you in the receiving place, and going big and being God dependent makes you more grateful. and of course allows you to achieve your highest good because you're in that highest vibration. Now, what did they tell us if you get radio silence? Always, again, check within. Check your inner landscape. Have you given yourself permission to receive? Very important. If you are telling yourself you are worthless and deserving of nothing, it's going to be impossible for anything to get through to you, other than maybe a drip every once in a while. So give yourself permission. View yourself as worthy. Are you talking yourself out of receiving? Things like, oh, it'll never happen. It's never going to happen for me. It always happens for other people, but not for... Please stop. Got to stay in the positive. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. And then, have you cleared away the heart blocks, the clutter and the debris? If you're holding on to anger, frustration, vengeance, oh, you name it, guilt, shame, blame, there is nowhere for that energy of receiving and gratitude to begin to grow and flourish. Clear out the negativity and the limiting stuff first, and then you will have fertile ground in which to plant that seed. Also, we got to remember to relax into that peaceful certainty. By allowing God to produce the highest good, your job is really just letting go and saying, okay, God, I know you absolutely always have my highest good in mind. You can see the greater picture and I cannot. And I just have to let go of my doubt and fear and welcome love, joy, and peace. And that's really my entire job. But don't forget, if you need reassurance, because so often this world can be a little tough on our feelings and may not be there with you in terms of supporting you in manifestation. So, ask for confirmation. And you may ask again and again, just as long as you acknowledge that the confirmation was sent the first time and every time, but you were not able to receive it, understand it, or believe it. Do not play the game of, God, why aren't you helping me? Oh, please stop. Please understand, it is you unable to receive the help. The help has been sent. Don't become the teacher. Don't blame the teacher if you're cutting class or sleeping through class. A great teacher must teach so that everyone understands. That's what the divine does. They never send you personally a sign that has no meaning to you. They send you exactly what you need. However, if you're cutting class, not paying attention, or sleeping through class, just refusing to acknowledge the signs that you're being sent, you can't blame God. Oftentimes we look at the Bible and we say, oh my gosh, it's so difficult to understand. And it's a lot of conflicts and confusion. But let's look at the only part of the Bible, and I'm using the Bible because that happens to be the culture that I grew up in, and it's the book, the religious text I'm most familiar with. So not to put the Bible above anything else. But the only time we know that the things were really written down are the letters that the apostles wrote and the things that they experienced with Jesus. The Old Testament is all word-of-mouth stories, but they wrote down some of the experiences they had with Jesus. So let's take a look at Jesus, who I consider to be one of the best teachers ever. There were also other wonderful prophets that were also exceedingly wonderful teachers. But Jesus is the premier teacher to me. You will notice that he is always using analogies that are either about fishing or farming. Now, to us, that feels really annoying. We're not primarily farmers and fishermen anymore. But the people that he was talking to knew exactly what he was saying. There is something that says in the Bible, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you have all the faith you need. Now, since the internet has come up, we all can see pictures of a mustard seed, but none of us knew what the size of a mustard seed was. That was not germane to any of us, but I guarantee you, every single person in his audience knew they just had to have the smallest amount of faith, something to get them started and stop backpedaling, and they would go forward. So, if you can't understand the example, and you are reading the Bible in its archaic form, when its examples are for farmers and fishermen, do the work to understand what's being presented there, or use a different text like A Course in Miracles to give you accurate understanding. God did not make it incomprehensible. We just don't understand the references. Everybody in that audience knew exactly what was being said and the references that he was making. Again, if we're not getting the answer or not hearing it, it is on us. So, be patient also. It's not always in your time. Sometimes it has to be at a specific time that may not feel good to you. But we got to learn to wait. That is part of spiritual maturity, trusting and patience. Go within and connect more fully with Source so that you know you're okay. And look for reasons to be grateful, because great gratitude is always the antidote for doubt. Anytime you are doubting, immediately flip into gratitude, and you will feel that see that your original doubt is beginning to disappear. Okay, I've got some great stories, and then I do want to ask about any questions, but these were just so, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share these stories because they are just so incredibly perfect. And after all these years, you would think I would be pretty good at navigating some of these waters. And I was still falling victim to them. So let's go back. Here we go. I told you about moving. Well, prior to moving, there was about a week lag. And it was probably one of the longest weeks of my life. I was in a living situation, which was really becoming unhealthy. And all I wanted to do, the angels found us the place in one day, all I wanted to do was be gone. I didn't want to wait. So we find the place. This is right before Memorial Day weekend. We get approved, and the guy says, oh, just bring a cashier's check for the first month and the deposit. Okay, great, we'll do it on Tuesday. He said, great, we'll have all the documents ready and everything will be ready to go. I'm expecting him to say, you can move in as soon as we exchange the keys and the paperwork and you give your money. But remember, he did tell us that the owners were really old, and so sometimes they did things slowly. Okay, so we really like the manager, the on-site manager. Just a nice, friendly guy. Very laid back, easy to deal with. So we go over and give him the money, and there's no paperwork. Not one scrap. Now I have the receipt from my bank, but okay, hand him the money, no keys, no lease, nothing. And part of me is saying, am I crazy? Is this a lesson? Are the angels trying to teach me this lesson that, hey, you really shouldn't be so free with your money? Pay attention to where your money's going? Thinking, let me check. Oh my gosh, did I really get myself into a mess? Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all that money. And here we go, down the rabbit hole of doubt and fear. Now, during this time, I was not taking a breath. I was not saying, let me just relax. I have a receipt. If I get nothing for that, I'll simply go back to the bank and follow the correct procedure. And I never said, God, can you send me some confirmation? I'm feeling a little uneasy here. I just immediately went into the blame and shame of me. Okay. So then a couple of days go by, the lease is ready, we get the lease signed, get the keys, but then still, they haven't painted yet. The brother apparently does the painting, and he was having some sort of, I think it was a personal problem. I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh, angels, what are you doing? And then I heard myself talking on the phone to a girlfriend, and I said, well, I am so done here. I'm just complete, and I want to move tomorrow. So angels, I've decided I'm going to move tomorrow. And I was like, what? What am I doing? I am not asking respectfully to be moved from here quickly. I'm demanding and obnoxious. I have no idea what's for my highest good. I've just gotten on this soapbox of how I need to be out of here tomorrow. So I took a deep breath and said to my friend, wow, thanks for being my sounding board. I just heard that. And let me rephrase it. I want to move in divine timing, whenever it is the perfect time. Because I just heard that come out of my mouth, and that was not good. Another 2 days go by. Finally, we get the call. It is now June 1st. No, I believe it's the last day in May. It's the last day. You guys can move in tomorrow. Thinking, oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then I said, okay, I get it that there was a reason for me to be here. I'm not sure what it was, but I have long passed where I need to question you. I'm just going to assume this was for my highest good and say thank you, thank you, thank you. So the morning of the move comes, and I have to work, and my son has to work. And with the truck wouldn't be ready until after 2. So I finish my work and then finish the packing. And I believe I was going to my car to get the last boxes. And let me tell you, I did not have one box left over. And every time I went to get boxes, I would ask for help. Could you please give me the exact amount of boxes that will fit in my car and allow me just to take with me the amount that I need so I don't have a lot to throw away? Not one box was left over, and I did not need another box. It was perfect. Okay, so I'm walking back to get the last couple of boxes out of the car to fill up the last items. I don't remember what they were, maybe my plants or something like that. I don't know. So as I'm walking back, I hear very clearly, check the mail. I said, okay, usually comes between 12 and 1. It's after 1, I'm sure it's there. I go to the mail and I see something for my daughter, something for my son, something, a few other little things. And I see a letter from me. a very not what I would like to receive letter. It ended up that it was nothing. I could resolve it easily. But it was a letter that was time sensitive and would have completely caused me the biggest problem possible if I had ignored it. And the way I would have ignored it would of course be that I wasn't there to receive it, because my change of address would not have kicked in quickly enough. I am so grateful. If I had gone the day that I wanted to, I would have missed that letter, and there would have been unending complications getting this easily resolved matter straightened out. If I had left when I wanted to, I would have caused myself such inconvenience. So, what really happened? I left exactly when I was supposed to so that I would receive this letter and save myself a tremendous amount of time. Now, I have one more story, and this is my cat. My cat is going to teach us what it must be like for God when He sees us acting so ridiculous. So, for this story, all of us are going to be my cat, and I get to play God as cat owner, or dog owner, or pet owner. In this particular case, it's cat, because they are the least malleable about doing what you want. They're not good listeners like dogs tend to be. So, all cat owners, or all pet owners in this particular case, you can play God with me. And all of the rest of us, we're going to have really two roles here. We have to recognize ourselves in the cat. So, my cat has a very lovely little carrier. Got squashy sides. It has a nice fur thing to sit on, and it doesn't feel restrictive at all. It has nice netting all the way around. So I decide, while we're going to go get the truck, I don't think the cat's going to feel comfortable sitting in her carrier by herself, so in the house. So I'm going to, and I don't really want to put her in the bathroom in that house, just in case, because she knows the area so well, she gets scared and somebody opens the door and she bolts out, and then we have to go on a big search for her. So she has to go in her carrier. And off we go for the truck. Now, the minute she gets in her carrier, she's sort of like, oh, okay, I don't mind this. It's not so bad. I've done this before. Then she decides, it's taking too long. I really don't like, now I have to get in the car. And I really don't like getting in the car. And now I can't see what I want to see out the windows because my carrier is on the seat. Oh, and now they've stopped and they're getting out. And I'm really uncomfortable that only two people are left in the car with me, and they are not the ones that make me feel safest. My owner got out and is missing, and I'm going to be verbally abusive to all of the people left in the car by yowling at the top of my lungs. And now, look at this, add insult to injury, I have to go to another place. Now, this all took maybe 45 minutes. But in her mind, it was the end of the world. The sky was falling, Chicken Little. She was being asked to leave a place that was familiar and go into the unknown. Now, I, as the God of that day, knew, first of all, she'd be much more comfortable if she was with us, even if it was in the car, because the smell would be familiar and she wouldn't feel abandoned, and there would be no chance that we're chasing her around the neighborhood, trying to convince her that she's going to like this new place. So I'm taking proactive steps to keep her safe. I know that once she gets to the new place and has a moment to acclimate, she's going to love it. It's much bigger. It's much brighter. It's got all of the things that she loves. But she's never been there. She doesn't know that. So immediately she begins complaining and yowling and getting angry that I would dare to take her from this place that she knows, even though she's going to a better place, because she doesn't trust it's going to be better. She doesn't know. Okay, so we get the people to help us move in the truck, and I asked my son to go over. He had some things in the car. I said, this is almost loaded up. Why don't you guys go over ahead of time? And these are the few things, the plants and stuff like that. Take that out and put the cat in the bathroom. Make sure she has food, water, everything she needs, and unzip her carrier so that she can get out and won't be uncomfortable. So she's been in her carrier now, maybe an hour and a half. Maybe. That's probably exaggerating it a little bit. And she has been complaining the entire time. Look what you're doing to me. This is awful. So she goes over, gets in a nice big bathroom with food, water, everything she needs. The carrier is open. Door is shut. Still complaining for a while. Then she decides, okay, well, at least they're not moving me so I can stop complaining. All is quiet. I finally get over there after I've helped make sure that everything is out of the previous place and everything's clean. And so now we're all in one place. Close the front door so I can open the bathroom door. I open the door and there she is. Not exploring the bathroom or having a bite to eat or a drink. She's huddled in the far back corner looking like somebody has beaten her. Trying to be as small and as pitiful as she can be in the farthest back corner. Looking at me like, I won't let you hurt me. So here I am as God. I look at her and I say, oh, really? You are too ridiculous. Come out and explore your beautiful new home. It's sunny. It is big. You'll have wonderful things, wonderful smells and ways to look out the window, and you'll be so thrilled. Nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm mad that you made me come to a beautiful new place, and I don't trust it, and I don't know it, and I'm just going to stay in the corner, and maybe when I get around to it, I might come out. But I don't like it. And why did you move me from a small, dark place to a new, beautiful, big, light place? I don't think I like it, and I don't like you. So I just laughed at her, and I left the door open. And so a little while goes by, and we can see her beginning to poke her head around corners. If we walk by the bathroom, she scurries back in, but she was peeking her nose out and peering around the corners and just giving herself a few minutes to get acclimated. Then a couple of hours go by, and she's actually venturing forth from the bathroom and exploring the little hallway and running back in. By that night, she was running all over the place, so delighted with the space and the light and the smells and the purring, and so happy. And it just hit me. That is us with God. I knew that she would love this new place, that if she were left behind, that she would be sad and lonely, and nobody would take care of her, not a choice. It was not an option. She had to move forward into this new abundance, but she didn't want to because she was afraid. She didn't know what I could see on the other side. How many times do we do that to God? God says, okay, time to move you forward into this new, beautiful place of abundance. But we haven't seen what's on the other side of that hill. She had to climb the mountain of going in her carrier to a strange new place. Oftentimes, we'll have to do a little work in order to get to our land of abundance. It's okay. Builds our muscle. Makes us more receptive when we get there. She had no knowledge of what was coming. But she has lived with me for 8 years, so you would think she would trust me to put her in a better space. Nope, that was not the way she chose to react. How many times do we do that? I'm scared, God. I don't believe you love me enough to put me in a good place. That was my cat. What are you going to do to me? You've only ever been loving and kind, but maybe you'll get really crazy and put me in a scary place. No justification or rationale for the way she was acting. And we do the same thing to God. God, you've always shown me love. You've always been incredibly supportive and my perfect resource, but are you suddenly going to get angry with me and throw lightning bolts? Can I trust you to move me into this better situation? Or do I have to be fearful and hide in the back of my carrier? Please trust God. Clear out your limiting beliefs and your negative thinking so there's a place for your goodness to germinate. But you must trust in order to receive. Open your heart wide. Let go of everything that doesn't feel right. It isn't right. And say yes to your bounty. All right, everyone. It is really time to go. I can't believe that I talked so long but I had to share those stories with you. I absolutely, when I realized I was acting in my time with God like that cat, I knew I really had to share that because that was so powerful. And also, when they kept me in place despite my many cranky conversations to receive a letter that would really impact me negatively if I didn't receive it. So trust. But you must clean out the negative thinking. If you insist that you're going to blame and shame and doubt and guilt and all this stuff, nothing's going to get through, and it will then make your blame and shame and doubt and guilt true. But it will be you causing it. All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here, for sharing, for just letting me tell these stories. Remember, if you want to email me, it's Marcia, Marcia, Marcia at marciamartinthehearthealer.com. My website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com. This will be up on YouTube, Heart Healer, or Marcia Martin Heart. Oh, geez. It comes up on YouTube if you put in Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer. Stay in touch. Let me know if you have a concern or a question, and allow yourself to blossom. So, until next week, I'm sending you my love.